This is the Save Yourself art lecture. All my art lectures are based on that, and I just don't think that there's anyone else's responsibility for you succeeding in life and becoming a great artist. So you're going to have to take that upon yourself. And the main thing that we're looking at today is the rule of two. And if you're ever hanging out late working with professional artists, and you'll see that eventually people start talking about their college experiences. And most of the professional artists have a story where a grizzly old professor comes in at college and says, only 2 of you are gonna make it, so you better work really hard. And why is that? And I've been thinking about it, and it's kind of fairly true. Walking off the stage after you get your diploma, very few of you are gonna know exactly what you wanna do. It's gonna take time for others to get jobs, but getting that job out of college is really hard. And I think that saying work hard is not just enough, because it's not specific. And what does that really even mean? So I think the main problem is how you think and how you work. And I'd like to adjust your thought process and how you think about working to better serve yourself to actually getting employed, because it's a hard world out there. And you don't have much time, and you really have to make the most of it. So first off, I'm gonna blanket art students into 2 groups. These are very big folders that I'm kind of putting people in. So the first art student profile is, I think art is cool, and I'm just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. I don't really know exactly what I want to do in art yet. I like to draw, but I also like to write. I'm also considering music. I love to make really introspective work about my life, and I just want to make work that's really important to me. I feel like everything will work itself out, and I'm not that concerned. The people that fit in this group, you're awesome. I love you. I wish I could be you. Don't necessarily change if you don't want to. And don't take everything that I say so seriously, because I'm going to go in pretty hard on this. And pick out the things that you think are true. The second group of art students is, I want to be a visual artist. That's all I want to do. I don't have a plan B, and this 100% has to work. I have to get a job right out of school because I have student loans, and my parents are doubting that I can even make money one day. I'm scared. If you're in that group, congratulations. I would like to say that that's the first step to becoming a professional artist. And really what I'm saying that is, the days of being a Renaissance artist where you can do music and you can go ahead and write a book, and then you can draw and paint and do all this stuff and invent machines, it's dead. It's not here anymore. Back in these days, these artists would, they'd have a family or a really rich people kind of sponsor them, and they'd go live in their estate and chateau. And you don't have that now. When you get out of school, you got to make money. You've got to support yourself, and if you have a family, you got to support your family. And it becomes a really big burden on your shoulders, and you can't do everything at the professional level. The professional level's too high. You couldn't make paintings and do music unless you get famous at 20. And you just become like a famous music star, and people will buy your work because of your name. It doesn't exist anymore. And what does it really mean to be a professional artist? Like, it's kind of vague. You know, you're kind of like, well, what do I do? And if you look at your art history teachings, you're gonna see this is Picasso. There's always like a tortured artist by themselves painting in the dark. And they're making sculpture, and honestly, I don't really like their work. Everything's kind of already been done. If you made the sculpture now and put it in a museum or in a gallery, it wouldn't sell. And people would be like, what? Honestly, the level's too high. And you're looking at these individual people where their personality is kind of bigger than their art. And it's all been done before. You can't just Jackson Pollock something and drip paint on a canvas. You just can't. The level's higher now. And this whole idea of an individual artist, like you as a person, you are going to show the world what you have, you know, like you're kind of greater than, you're bigger and larger than life. It's pretty much dead. Every single one of you is special. You really are, but you're kind of not that special. And you need to take that into your soul. You need to understand that 99.9999999% of you are ordinary people. And that's totally okay. You're not a rock star. So how do you go ahead and become greater than you are and lift yourself up and become extraordinary? Basically, you're gonna have to work with a lot of other people. And nowadays, I've never met a genius. I've never met one single genius. I know hundreds of artists. I've worked personally with over hundreds of artists. I know pretty much, I've met over 1,000 artists. And I've seen some beasts out there that are amazing. And none of those people just walked up to a piece of paper and made something magic or got on a computer and instantly had anything good. You're going to be bad for a long time, and it's going to take a lot of focused study, not just work hard. You don't want to make a movie or something that's going to take forever because you don't have the skill set for that yet, and that's totally okay. So if you look at most of these projects that you're probably going to work on, video games, movies, any commercials, look at the list of artists. It's huge. Watch it scroll through. It takes like 1 million people to make a movie. So keep that in mind, that we are actually working as a team. And before you can start picking up pieces, you've got to consult a lot of people. You're never in control of your own artwork anymore. You need to listen to your teachers. You need to listen, and then eventually you're going to be listening to the people at your job. And it's very important to give up that control and that me and start thinking in the form of we. And right now we're in kind of a collective conscience of art. There's so much images and art coming around the world that what we're doing is we're being influenced and we're taking things we like and combining them together and then making something else. Every single commercial or professional project I've ever worked on, I had to have 3 examples of things that were already done before, and then I took them and made something new out of them. And that's really how a professional artist works. We don't really make up everything from scratch. And an example of this is most artists will get to a piece of paper and they think that they have to come up with everything themselves. It has to come from them and it has to be original. And I spent years and years just drawing heads. Like every time I would draw, I would just draw. I had 5 drawings and I would just kind of change up their hair, and vaguely a lot of them kind of looked like me. And I did this for years and years and years, and I didn't draw bodies because I didn't know how. So eventually I realized that I needed to reach out. And so I went to the internet and I looked up my favorite cartoon character, which was Hogarth from Iron Giant, and I was like, man, let me just study how the professionals and people who have way more experience than me are using the shapes. Like, what's the proportions? And then how do I go and take these simple gestures and make a clean final drawing and start to understand why they use just a line that goes down and then the nose, and it's all connected with the mouth. And I'm starting to steal that, and I'm starting to add that to a library of my own knowledge, and later on I can tap this and make something new. And I'm also looking at figure. I'm doing a lot of work with people, and if I don't have a figure model around, I'm looking at 1940s, 1950s photography because it's all in black and white like a film noir, and it's wonderful. And when you're choosing subject matter, you want to choose, especially if you're doing ladies as a man, you want to choose something that other ladies would look at and be like, wow, that's really glamorous and beautiful. So be careful with your subject matter and what you're starting to learn. And really the drawing underneath the drawing is the most important part. It doesn't look very good, but this is proportion, this is the drawing underneath the drawing, and then eventually you come up with a final piece that's just a little bit different. So this is starting to steal because I put the Japanese sun behind her and I went ahead and put streaks down and I included a little bit of red. So it's starting to steal, but it's still just a study. I'm still just copying. And you can do this for a long time. This is just an example of one way to take something and make it just a little bit new and then get a portfolio piece. So you don't have to come up with everything. And in fact, I would just Google figure drawing. And if I had time, like an hour a night, I would go and draw the underdrawings of other people. You can't use it for your portfolio because that's cheating, that's copying. But what you're learning is what shapes do they like? Like my favorite one is like this. These like really simple line drawings, and you can really learn a lot from that. So don't put everything on yourself. So good artists copy, great artists steal, but you have to copy for a long time before you can start stealing, because you got to build a library in your head. So a great artist that I actually got to work in a workshop with, and I studied his work, pretty much the guy who teaches Disney figure drawing, his name is Glenville Pooh, and he said to me, artists have to do 100,000 drawings before you get one good drawing. So don't spend like a month working on this big piece. Start doing like an hour of night of just simple stuff, and if it doesn't look good, you'll just throw it away and then do another one the next day.